you understand?
Hey everybody, I'm Tony Jones, and welcome to the Tony Jones Show.
It's not that people are willing to take the risk. It's just sort of a herd mentality, a lemming-like mentality. If you don't go with the flow, you're anti-American and therefore a suspect.
The Tony Jones Show, featuring punk, rockabilly, psychobilly, and Providence, Rhode Island's finest, starts right now.
He's a dangerous militia member, I hear. Oh, and there she blows.
Friends, the time for mediocrity in broadcasting is over. My name is Tony Jones, and you are tuned in to the Tony Jones Show, your destination for talk and rock. online at TonyJones.org. It's Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show. On the almighty Twitter at Tony Jones in RI. Of course, if you're checking us out live, I do monitor the social media sites throughout the broadcast, so go ahead and get a hold of me anytime. Unfortunately, kicking off the program with some bad news, and I just want to briefly address this. You know, there's very few things where I think that there's such tragedies and so disheartening that I should actually cancel the show this week and we should all stay home. But, you know, in those situations, that is when, in fact, the aggressors are the ones who, quote-unquote, win. So our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody in Orlando. 50-plus have passed away, 50-plus injured. You know, everybody in this room is quote-unquote straight, but well, not only was I in Orlando just a few weeks ago, but I was a DJ in a gay club for many, many years, so this is something that kind of hits close to home. Eddie, I'm sure you agree that this is going to be send a shockwave through the industry in which we work, the entertainment industry.
Oh, definitely. Hello, everybody. I am also in shock. There are a few things that have been bothering me because it doesn't matter if it was a gay club or a straight club. It doesn't matter whether or not this person had a licensed firearm on them. And if you start reading the stories, because I've been following pretty much every post that's come up on this story, the bottom line is, and even the federal government agrees with this and has already declared this as an act of terrorism. So I feel, you know, the last count that I saw was 50 people, or just over 50 people passed away, and 53 others were wounded from this.
Right.
I just can't wrap my head around the amount of hate that you could have for people, whether or not, whatever their orientation or whatever their discrimination that you have against them. I just can't wrap my head around that, and I'm at a loss.
Well, and, you know, speaking of wrapping your head around it, like I mentioned, I was in Orlando last week, and but it could have easily been, you know, us standing at a heavy metal show, or us standing at a punk rock show, or us being at a show that we've put on. I mean, anytime there's a group of people in one central area, there is unfortunately now that factor of having to look over your shoulder almost all the time.
Well, anytime there's a group or just a gathering area, you always have the potential for this to happen. However, I've come to grips with this a long time ago. Being a motorcyclist, I realize that 99.9% of the day, I'm lucky I've made it this far. And I don't even mean that as a joke. There's just so much crazy crap going on in this world. I mean, I almost got taken out yesterday. For those of you who are local, it was raining. I was out on the motorcycle. I didn't think it was going to rain until I ended up in Connecticut, about an hour and a half by highway. So, you know, I almost got taken out 3 or 4 times on the ride home. I could barely see. And, you know, I've come to grips with that. So the fact that crap happens and someone could take me out there, I could get killed crossing the street by a bus. It would have to be going pretty quickly because I'm a big guy. But, you know, the potential is always there. So that I don't want that to deter people from oh, my God, this could happen if I go to that club. On the other hand, yeah, you do have to think of that. This is something that's going to resonate throughout the nightclub and the music industry. So
the most important thing, the mantra of the Tony Jones Show, the mantra of Rhode Island Free Radio, is the fact that in this adversity, the show must go on. So that's what's going to happen today. The Tony Jones Show will go on. You know, speaking of death, I think I and this is getting off to a very depressing program this week, but I think I mentioned it on the show, but not too long ago I had a very mild stroke, and it's something that really put me in touch with my own mortality. Now, this past week, 2 people passed away, very sad. One of them I would consider to be might possibly the worst way to pass away, and one of them might be the best way to pass away. So, Eddie, since George Garner is not here this week, he's under the weather, I'm going to ask you to weigh in on that in just a little while. We have some events coming up, and we're going to go music heavy this week because I actually cannot keep up with the amount of new music that's coming in here to Rhode Island Free Radio, kicking off with what might possibly be Up next, the radio debut of Wolfman Chuck and the Brimstone Boys. Speaking of the fact that the show must go on, making their possible radio debut right here on the Tony Jones Show. This track is Lucille. It's some Wolfman Chuck and the Brimstone Boys.
All right, go ahead.
Made of wood, a real slugger, her tip covered by wire. Now he's crying, plants dying, a loose heel smashing in the back, yeah. Lucille, Lucille, any minute mighty mo. Lucille, 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 the judge was always yours. Lucille, Lucille. She's made of wood, a real slugger, her tip coated by wire. Maggie's crying, plants dying, Lucille smashing in the back, yeah. Lucille, Lucille, any minute mighty low. Lucille, 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 the choice was always yours. Lucille, Lucille. Itty, bitty, mighty, mo. Itty, bitty, mighty, mo. Itty, bitty, mighty, mo. Itty, bitty, mighty, mo. Lucille, Lucille, the judgment's always yours. Lucille, 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 itty, bitty, mighty, mo. Lucille, Lucille.
You tell me I am rude, I think you are confused. You know that I don't set out to offend you. I only opened up my mouth and these words come out. I guess I have an explanation due. You can tell your side of the story. That's more ammunition for me. What you say is rude, I call the truth. Don't tell me I can't speak my mind. Wanna speak the truth and you speak lies. Don't tell me I can't speak my mind. You're such a quiet sound, heard from miles around. When I try to talk and only bullets come out. I only opened up my mouth and these words come out. I guess I have to explain what it's about. You can tell your side of the story. That's more ammunition for me. What you say is rude, I call the side of the story. That's more ammunition for me. What you say is rude, I call the truth.
Too Rude, the name of that one. It's The Rudeness right here on the Tony Jones Show. Before that, we heard Lucille from what might possibly be the debut of Wolfman Chuck and the Brimstone Boys in recorded form. It is great to be back here with you. Thank you all for checking in and noticing that we were off the air for the past few weeks. You know, it's never good when you take a few weeks off and nobody really seems to notice, but people were contacting me asking for the show, so thank you all for checking in. Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show. On the almighty Twitter at Tony Jones NRI. Ton of new music rolling in here to the Rhode Island Free Radio studios. Go to rifreeradio.org. Click on the contact page if you'd like to get music to us, or if you would like to be in studio with us at any time. A couple events coming up this week I want to talk about. Very busy week starting off on Monday. Yes, the Motif Magazine Food Truck Awards featuring Sasquatch and the Sickabilly. So not only is it one of my favorite local bands playing, it involves one of my favorite local things, and I guess national things, which would be food trucks. So we'll see who takes the Golden Food Truck Awards on Monday. This is the first one. Very exciting. Some good contenders there, and a huge list of local food trucks. On Tuesday, the Wickford Summer Concert Series starts. Now, the concert location has moved to the North Kingstown Town Beach, so it's not where you're used to going down on the wharf there. It's going to be down on the beach on that nice big band shell that we spent a lot of money to build in my neck of the woods and we never use. But I digress. And then on Wednesday, Tony Jones and the Cretin 3, we're going to be playing at dusk in Providence. So that's the beginning of my week. Pretty good among my other obligations. We're going to have some double shots this week. You know, speaking of the great music that's rolling in here to the studios, right now it's a double shot of Listen Lady. This track, Baby, I'm a Maniac. You heard it here on The Tony Jones Show.
It's room to turn around. If my mind were a train, it could roll in the rain, but it's okay, it's lying on the ground. Please do and don't leave me alone. Please do and don't leave me alone. Manic and staggered, anxious and panicked. Oh baby, please don't let me go. 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 People I avoid, know they'll find me somehow. 10 minutes to downtown is way too far. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. From here, another sorry year that I spent
Hey Listen, the name of that one, coming out of 2 from Listen Lady right here on the Tony Jones Show. Before that, Baby, I'm a Maniac. Now, it's not lost on me the fact that I played a double shot from a group and I still came back under 5 minutes. Baby, I'm a Maniac, coming in at 2 minutes and 27 seconds. And Hey Listen, the track you just heard, 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Music you're not going to hear anywhere else but right here on the Tony Jones Show. Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show. TonyJones.org. On the almighty Twitter at Tony Jones in RI. Be sure to go to rifreeradio.org for all your webutainment needs. We have blogs. We have videos. We have podcasts. You could spend all afternoon just hanging out at rifreeradio.org. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show, I am fresh from Orlando, where I was a delegate to the Libertarian National Convention, where we picked Governor Gary Johnson and Governor Bill Weld as president and vice president, respectively, and where I accepted formally the role of state director for Rhode Island for Gary Johnson 2016. So thank you for all the support. Just a nonstop inquiries regarding Mr. Johnson 2016, and nonstop inquiries at people asking if I'll be running this year, which I'd like to address briefly in the fact that I don't know yet. So the way I like to do things is, a lot of people have this big rollout and this big rah, 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 and they pound the pulpit and they wave and they bow. So the way it works is that on June 27th, 28th, and 29th, if you're running for office, that's the window to file your paperwork. So probably sometime later in the day on June 29th is when I'll decide if I'm heading down to the town hall to file for anything. But I want to thank you guys for all your support and all your inquiries. Some folks have suggested I run for state rep. Some folks have suggested that I should run for and could possibly win a town council race in my neck of the woods. So get back to me on June 29th, and I'll let you know what's going on. Speaking of new music that is coming forth, we have a ton of it here. We're going to have some more double shots coming up for you. We got new music from Blind Revision. We have new music from Desk in just a little bit. But I have a little side project going on, and a little bit later this summer, I'll have a new CD coming out. It's a little side project called Tony Jones and the Jerk Tones. And, well, where better to debut what is going to be the first track off of the album from Tony Jones and the Jerk Tones. It's so new, there's no name for the album yet, so I just have to call it the album. This is a little song called Large Marge, and I know for sure that you heard it here first on the Tony Jones Show.
It was a night about 10 years ago. My sweet love lost her life. She was a truck-driving girl with the prettiest eyes. I hoped one day she would be mine, but by a chance of fate, I never got a date. It was the only time I ever cried. Large Marge was a girl as big as a barge. Large Marge, she stole my heart, and then she died. And then she died. Some say it was the fog, some say it was the rain that caused her to drive right off the cliff. When her truck hit the ground, well, it made an awful sound, like the gates of hell opened and closed quick. Her rig burst into flames before anybody came. When they found her corpse, it was burnt right to her crisp. Large Marge was a girl as big as a barge. Large Marge, she stole my heart, and then she died. And then she died. Sometimes a breeze does blow in that gives a shiver.
right down my spine. I think of her ghost when I smell burnt toast. My over-easy aches could be her eyes. And my breakfast plate is as big as her face. I wish I could see her from the other side. Large Marge was a girl as big as a barge. Large Marge, she stole my heart, and then she died. And then she died. And then she died. And then she died. Large Marge was a girl as big as a barge. Large Marge, she stole my heart, and then she died.
Staring at the photographs reminds me that I sometimes get a little too excited Well, maybe I'm retarded, but I see that now. And I can't change, but I don't want to. So burn all my pictures, 'cause I already did. Take a seat and pour yourself a glass and fix your problems, but don't fix mine. I'm sorry they were forever yours. You told me I needed some help. Well, I found a Bible on the shelf. It's halfway gone and I still can't find the answer, but what was the question anyway? Oh, you told me I should go to hell. Well, I'm halfway there and I'm never looking back. Well, honey, that's not your problem. I'm not your problem anymore. I know that you got mine. I tried not to be bitter, and I hope you find the time to collect yourself before somebody breaks you down. Oh no, I probably shouldn't worry or forgive so easily. I guess that makes me a better soul than you could ever be. So don't think about me, I'll be fine. Not thinking about you. You told me I needed some help. Well, I found a Bible on the shelf. It's halfway gone and I still can't find the answer, but what was the question anyway? Oh, you told me I should go to hell. Well, I'm halfway there and I'm never looking back. Well, honey, that's not your problem. I'm not your problem anymore. She told me I needed some help. Well, I found a bottle on the shelf. It's halfway gone and I still can't find the answer, but what was the question anyway? Oh, you told me I should go to hell. Well, I'm halfway there.
A band that's been in this very studio, Most Dangerous Men Alive, Not Your Problem, the name of that one. Before that, we heard from Coma Coma last night. And then last time we chatted, I brought you into my brand new side project, Tony Jones in the Jerk Tones. Large Marge, the name of that track. No, it is not based on a true story, and it is not based on any of my past dating. And I said that right as DJ Psycho Eddie was taking a big swig of water. We almost had a spit take here in studio. So very depressing start to the show today, but you know, as I mentioned, the mantra of the Tony Jones Show and Rhode Island Free Radio is that the show must go on. And I mentioned back at the top of the hour, at my young age, I've really been in touch with my own mortality after having a mild stroke. And well, this past week, and I mean no disrespect to the families, but this is being reported on the major news channels, the body of a 23-year-old Oregon man well, there's unfortunately nothing to recover because he fell into a geyser basin at Yellowstone Hot Springs, 459 degrees Fahrenheit. He wandered off the boardwalk and fell into a geyser. That has to be, in my opinion, just one horrible way to meet your demise. I mean, the fact that there was no remains left to recover after hitting that 459 degree hot water. That's got to be awful. Only 22 recorded deaths in Hot Springs history. The last one was in the year 2000. So I guess the way it works, I've never been there personally, is that there's a boardwalk, and you're supposed to stay on the boardwalk and not wander toward the hot spring, which is about 225 yards away. But I guess for some reason, this gentleman decided to wander off the beaten path and unfortunately fell into the geyser.
Personally, I think this is a nominee for the Darwin Awards.
Now, I would have to assume that as soon as you hit that acidically hot water, it was over. It's not like you were floating around in it in agony.
No, he'd probably been in pain for a few seconds before it actually made him succumb. But, I am an avid TV watcher, and I will watch any type of documentary you put in front of me. And one of my favorites is always on natural phenomenon and natural disasters and stuff like that. And I have seen quite a few on the hot springs and geysers at said park. And one of the things they point out to you is that about every 50 to 75 yards, there's a picture or a posting that basically tells you, hey, stupid, don't get off the boardwalk.
Stay on. I'm not even comfortable with the fact that it's just wood you're walking on. I mean, me personally, let's get some metal out there.
Well, you've been to my house. You've seen my deck.
Right.
They decked that thing with 2x6s, just like I did my deck. So, I mean, you could probably launch a rocket off of the decking out there. It is sturdy, but horrible, yes. Burning to death or boiling.
Disintegrating. Now, I only, in being a fan of horror, have to picture in my head this guy falling in at the same time that the geyser is going off, and in cartoon-like form, he kind of gets shot up into the air. I know that's horrible, but that's immediately where my mind went when I heard a guy fell in the geyser. I just pictured it going off.
I personally haven't read this story, but first reaction is he went in. He came up to gasp his last breath, and it was, again referring to the movies, how you see the one hand like, trying to grasp for something as it goes down slowly, and then disintegrated. That had to be horrible for the 3 seconds he was alive after he hit the water.
Now, let's get to the flip side of this, and having been in the security business, and actually I've been picking up a little bit of security work currently, I could picture this happening to a lot of my coworkers and in the security industry, which I just have to assume this guy is a security guard. A Bronx area hospital employee was found dead Tuesday morning, having suffered a heart attack while masturbating. The 48-year-old man was an employee of North Central Bronx Hospital in New York. He was discovered partially disrobed in a remote area of the hospital. The coworker found him at 10 a.m., and the pornography was still streaming on his telephone. So he found a cold, dark place to spend a little bit of free time by himself. Of course, being in a remote area, there's nobody to see you struggling as you're having a heart attack. And, the guy had to be a security guard. I mean, that's the only tapped person I can see finding a back room in a hospital to go watch adult films.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to get this smile off my face for a while. I also have done the security route.
I know you were going to say you've done that.
No, I have never. I've thought about it. I've never done it. But
the fact that he was partially disrobed means that he's done this before. I mean, this had to be a known hiding spot for him.
True. I mean, you don't just pick an arbitrary corner.
He went all in.
he definitely had this thing planned out.
No security cameras.
Exactly. Being in security, you would know where the quiet spots are. Fortunately for me, my security days ended at a strip club. So there was no need to hide. I still didn't do it. If I asked, I probably would have gotten help. But no, I again, it's a horrible way to go alone, just dehydrated, sticky, and covered in shame. But
with your cell phone still streaming. Imagine checking his browser history.
Yeah, I don't think that would be good for any of the parties involved.
So once again, no matter how bad things are going for you, it's going much worse for somebody else. Hey, the new music continues here on the Tony Jones Show. We're going to have a double I just turned Midwestern for a second there. We're going to have...
Yeehaw!
We're going to have a double shot of Desk, starting off with, well, a more timelier track could not have been selected as the theme of the election season. Here's The Great American Stupid right here on the Tony Jones Show.
Your racist hate is showing us our true face. Let's bring back first class fascism. Fake hair, fake smile. Nice suit but no style. Let the lights flash. Here with fast cash. This train is off the tracks. Over the hill, swallow this pill. All aboard for the great American stupid. Damn! How many times can we break down? I need a new place to be sane. But your wisdom is not my change. Too many mistakes and it's permanent decay. Fake hair, fake smile. Nice suit but no style. Build 'em up, let 'em down. Watch them burn your house to the ground. Let the lights flash, pay with fast cash. This train is now. She likes to talk, talk, talk. Her sexy mouth is faster than her brain explains. She's got to know just what it is about her, yeah. The IBS escapes her face in the head. I need a vaccine, yeah. You're hot, but you're a problem. I need a vaccine for you. You're hot, but you're a problem. Outbreak of MGH, and you wonder why. We've gone from herd immunity to herd stupidity. We listen to TVs. We listen to pretty people say please. But this media virus is a curable disease. I need a vaccine, yeah. You're hot, but you're a problem. I need a vaccine for you. You're hot, but you're a problem. Need a vaccine, yeah. You're hot, but you're a problem. I need a vaccine for you. You're hot, but you're a problem. I need a vaccine, yeah. You're hot, but you're a problem. I need a vaccine for you. You're hot, but you're a problem. I need a vaccine, yeah. You're hot, but you're a problem. I need a vaccine for you. You're hot, but you're a
Coming out of Two from Desk, some brand new music right here on the Tony Jones Show. You're hot, but you're a problem, the name of that one. Before that, I brought you into the great American Stupid. And if you can believe that, we are just about on a time for this week's Tony Jones Show. Hey, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for noticing that it was off for a few weeks. Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show. On the almighty Twitter at Tony Jones NRI. Go to TonyJones.org and RIFreeRadio.org. Again, click on the contact page if you have content for us. DJ Psycho Eddie, thank you for weighing in on the very, very important matters that we got to tonight.
Why, thank you.
And with that, I'm going to leave you with a double shot of Blind Revision. That's right. They went to RIFreeRadio.org. They clicked on the contact page. They sent me their MP3s, and now they are going to be headed from my computer to your ear holes. Yes, you can do it too. Go to RIFreeRadio.org. Click on the contact page. The second track you're going to hear is Fight or Flight, and this one is Tough Love. It's some Blind Revision. Bye, everybody. Bye.
He laid me down last night. Then I got inside his mind. tonight. Tough love.
From Monday to Tuesday, you don't have any fun. From Wednesday to Thursday, just going out for a run. Friday and Saturday, you're always getting drunk. And Sunday, you stay at home and never go to church.
Okay, my night outers, DJ Psycho Eddie over here. That was Blindside Thunder. She Wants Sex. Welcome to another installment of My Night Out Radio. I got to start off with a little bit of disheartening, saddening, a little bit maddening news. If you have not followed news at all, something that hits pretty close to home here on My Night Out Radio and Rhode Island Free Radio, where we're broadcasting from, the nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida. It's got quite a few of us bothered here on several levels. Tony Jones and myself have been DJs in, well, a bunch of different nightclubs.
Pretty much, if you'll pay us, we'll show up.
Yeah, I would definitely play a letter opening if the money was right. But Tony and myself have also performed in gay clubs. Now, this person, who I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name because there's too much phlegm involved. But bottom line, 50 plus people have died. 53 were injured at a nightclub in Orlando, Florida. And right now, Associated Press is calling it the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. I'm assuming wars and stuff like that don't count in that, but still, it's hitting close to home, and I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. Tony, would you weigh in on this a little bit?
Well, like we talked about, I think it's going to reverberate into the whole entertainment industry, which we've talked about on your show before, and on my show that is kind of on the ropes because the millennial generation isn't going out as much as they used to. But, coming up this following weekend here in Rhode Island is Pride Weekend, just a big party. Starts at noon, goes until the wee hours of the morning. There's a water fire associated with it, and, I can just imagine how that community feels just going out and partaking in an event like that. They're going to be looking over their shoulders the whole time.
Well, as luck would have it, it actually is Pride Weekend or Pride Week in Orlando, and this was the culmination of it. And I just, like I said, I can't wrap my head around how can you have so much hate for anybody, let alone a group of people, whether it's discrimination against whatever orientation the person has, their color. How can someone brew this much hate in themselves to do something like this? Let alone, and I understand the victims. I cannot send my heart out enough to these people. But the other part of me, another part of me, because I'm always looking, I am not a fan of these spin vultures. And in giant letters right here on my screen right now, because I do follow media while I'm doing the show, 50 slain in gay nightclub. Does it really matter what kind of a nightclub it is? And I'm guilty of it too. I mean, when I was just making the announcement, I said, you had loads of phlegm to pronounce this guy's name. I mean, there is always that little catch, whether it's gay, straight, whatever it is. Why does it come to that? Why does that have to be a descriptor or to make it worse or better? And can't we all just get along?
People get so detached from reality, and they get so detached from their everyday lives. And, something that we all here love plays a part of that, and that is the internet, where you can kind of go down the rabbit hole and become radicalized by some of the content that you consume. Well, personally, myself, I don't think pornography would radicalize me in this form. Also, radical foodies rioting because the food truck didn't show up on time. That's a possibility.
Don't get me wrong. I've been a little distraught when the restaurant does not open or closes early or what have you. But I have never, gotten so mad at something like I need a gun to start killing other people because there is just a dysfunction there.
You said it was all I could eat.
But I'll digress on that because, this show is about, number one, it's about Rhode Island. It's about having fun, going out, eating, having a good time out. And that's what I want to focus on because if I don't, we're just going to stick with this one awful subject and it'll be, it'll definitely not be a good show.
And, it's not to get too depressing, but what you just talked about, going out, having a good time, having a good meal, getting together with your friends, quality of life, lifestyle, plays into the fact that you don't know when your number's up.
Well, you never know when your number's up. I can be eating a chicken wing. In fact, true story, I had a friend who died while eating a chicken wing. God rest her soul, Lynn. I love you. But, she, unfortunately or fortunately, it was unrelated. She had a massive coronary while eating the chicken wing. She didn't choke on the chicken wing, and I wanted to throw that out there because I know a lot of friends of Lynn's and mine do listen to the show. I want to keep the facts straight. But until all the medical findings came out, the only thing anyone knew was she died choking on a chicken wing. So, again, I'll digress on that. But I do have a lot of great stuff to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about, as always, is food. I brought someone for their first time eating sushi.
I did the same thing to someone who may be considered a little bit of a down-home boy, a rube, if you will. And we told him that the wasabi was guacamole, and he helped himself to a guacamole-sized portion of wasabi.
Well, no, I was not so sadistic. As you know, one of my extremely local favorites for Chinese food and for sushi and whatever is Yi Express. It's right over on Main Street in West Warwick. The food's excellent. Everything's really fresh, and they do have very good sushi. So we went with the Romper Room beginners platter, whatever you want to call it. That's not what it's called on the menu. This is just what I'm calling it. It was actually called a medium sushi boat. And when they make all the sushi, they position it on a small wooden boat. And I got to love them. The person I took was my nephew. I'm not going to mention any names because it'll be a little embarrassing when it actually comes out. But he was so excited, he thought we got to keep the boat. No, we do not keep the boat. And he's like, no, really, I'll pay for the... No, you don't keep the boat. You eat the food on it, they take it back. But being that, and this is something I like to impress on people, if you're into, well, in this case, sushi, if you're into Indian food, and you know a lot of people that aren't into it, there is a satisfaction, at times a sick satisfaction, of bringing someone to try this food. Because he had never had it. It's raw fish. There's something with raw fish that a lot of people just can't, again, wrap their heads around. They can't fathom that this is going to be good. And it is. And we took him out and we had regular Chinese food, just in case the sushi didn't go over so well. But he absolutely loved it. And I want to thank the people from Yi Express, for putting up with him, mostly because he's big, but he is he's not as mature as you would think. He has a habit of taking spoons wherever he goes. Do you have the spoon collection, Tony? I don't, but my nephew does.
Now, I must admit to a similar thing. Back, and maybe this is part of the reason why they're not around anymore. Back when Bickford's was around, if you ordered a frap, they actually served it in the metal cup that they used in the blender.
Yep.
And quite a few of those metal cups came home with me over the years at various Bickfords throughout the region.
Well, I look at it this way. Were they going to really stop you? You're a big dude. I know I'm a big dude. I'm not going to mention any names, but I do remember a story of someone getting kicked out of I think it was a Denny's. You know where I'm going with this already. For throwing a chair through the ceiling.
Now, I didn't throw the chair through the ceiling. What I did was I took the chair and I suspended it from the ceiling. And not only was I thrown out, but they actually made me sign a piece of paper that said I would never step foot in another Denny's ever.
And you were back the next week.
Yeah, well, we talked about a lot here on the show. The turnover in the hospitality industry is so quick that probably 3 or 4 weeks later, that manager's gone. He's working at somewhere else now, and he doesn't even know that you stuck a chair up on the ceiling.
Okay, well, we're gonna take a break here because
by the way, my goal was to stick it up in the ceiling and sit on it, but I never made it to the second half of the plan.
Okay, why don't we take a break here? This is relatively new. It's been around for 2 weeks now.
I had to explain to someone earlier this week that I was a little bit of a wild man when I was younger, and he asked me for an example, and I couldn't think of one, and the Denny story would have been a perfect example.
Well, getting back to the taking a break, we're going to have Desk, our good friend Todd Bose. He's originally from Down City Armory, which I believe he's still in Down City Armory. But he got together with some of his friends. He came up with a band, kind of an 80s sound to it, Desk. The name of the song, if my computer will agree with me, is Cowboys in Boston. We'll be back in a minute. You're listening to My Night Out Radio. All right, my night outers, that was Desk, Cowboys in Boston. If you ever get a chance to check them out or even just look them up online, Bandcamp, whatever it is, check them out. Awesome band, awesome CD, which just dropped about 2 weeks ago. So, please.
Yeah, I tried to, have the Tony Jones Show be the first show to play it, but, well, you beat me to it a few weeks ago.
That's because people send me music, too. It's not just you. Well, if you want to be part of the show, or you'd like to get on the show, promote upcoming events, whatever business you have, hit me up, mynightoutradio@verizon.net. Look up our website, mynightoutri.com. Facebook /MyNightOut. Twitter and Instagram, either DJ Psycho Eddie or MyNightOutRI. Hit us up. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to get you on, because right now it's just me and Tony talking. Even George didn't show up. I think he got a bad recommendation from someone other than us for food. But anyways, I have quite a few favorite restaurants. Wow, I'm stuttering right now. Don't mind me. Quite a few favorite restaurants that I go to, and one that's right up there because it's good for breakfast and either lunch or dinner or what have you. I can pretty much spend a day in this restaurant. It's called Shannon View Inn.
See, this is where I get to live vicariously through you, because I'm not much of a morning person, so it's very rarely that I get out for a decent breakfast because I just don't keep those hours. Now, I have slop breakfast when I go to a place at 1, 2 in the morning, but as far as a good quality breakfast, it's a rarity for me.
Oh, no, I definitely did the quality breakfast. I did it twice this weekend, as a matter of fact. The first one I want to talk about in Cranston, right on Pontiac Avenue, right in the Rolfe Square area. It's called Mesa Grill. It's a Mexican family that runs an American diner. So you have both Mexican and, American favorites in it. And they do breakfast and lunch, early dinner. This morning for breakfast, I had the breakfast burrito. Now, this isn't the burrito you're going to pick up and just like walk around eating. Yeah. If you eat this whole burrito, you will not be able to walk around unassisted. This thing is huge. And, of course, it comes with, they call it green sauce, but it's a pico de gallo. It's a lot finer than usual.
Now, did you share a picture of that on social media, or was that yesterday?
No. That's the other breakfast I'm going to talk about.
That picture looked like, it reminded me of the beginning of the Flintstones, where they put the plate on the side of the car and the car tips over. That's what your breakfast looked like.
Well, being a big guy, I learned where the big food is. Well, getting back to Mesa, they used to stuff it with rice in addition to the eggs and the vegetables, and I got the chorizo, but they also have pork or chicken or beef or whatever. And the Mesa Grill does an awesome breakfast to begin with. I have never had a bad meal there. However, as true with most places, you have good food, the coffee will be suspect at best. I got the Diet Coke there. I've learned my lesson there a few times. Now, the breakfast you were talking about is actually a place that I visited twice in the last week or two. First off, as you mentioned, the Irish breakfast. Now, you get 2 full links of the bangers, the Irish sausage. Then you get 2 pieces of black pudding, 2 pieces of white pudding, a blood sausage and a blood sausage without the blood, 2 rashers, which are little pork chops, scrambled eggs, grilled tomatoes, home fries, and toast. Again, if you finish the whole meal, you're doing something.
Now you realize that the people that came to the New England region from Ireland, the originals, that was probably about a month and a half's worth of stock.
It probably was. However, for me, in fact, I was there yesterday when I had this, Saturday morning. I walked in. I know every time I go there for breakfast, that's what I get. I walked in. He tried to put the menu down in front of me. I waved it off. Give me the Irish breakfast and a stout. 10 o'clock in the morning, I was drinking. Yeah, that's how I started my day on Saturday. But I went back there, about a week ago. I had also been there for lunch. Again, Shannon View Inn. This is right on Post Road, right over by the airport in Warwick. They have, and you know that I'm a big fan of spicy, they have what's called the Wicked Hot Burger. Now, this isn't the dumbed-down Wicked Hot that you're used to, when you get the extra hot salsa and you can, pour it on your tongue.
Yeah, that's the problem I have being a fan of spicy foods. The server will tell you, "Oh, this is hot," and
not so much. Well, they made this morning, and I'm like, "Oh, sure, no problem, I can handle it." Well, now first off, the burger came with sweet tater tots. You have your choice of onion rings, regular fries, but the sweet potato tater tots is what I went for. Now, for the burger, it is a half-pound burger. 8 ounces of meat, 3 or 4 strips of bacon, pepper jack cheese, and approximately 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces of chopped fine habanero pepper.
Oh.
Yeah, this one, when you eat something so spicy it gives you the hiccups? It did that to me. It was really good. Of course, I get my burger medium rare because I like to taste the scream that was left in the cow from when it was slaughtered. But the burger itself was absolutely huge. It was on a brioche bun. It was excellent. I mean, yeah, I can't say enough about it. Yes, it had some serious heat to it, but nothing. If you're a true chili head, you could definitely handle it. Now, here's the one which I'm actually questioning whether or not I should say this in front of you, Tony, because it was that good but that bad. Tavern on the Hill in Exeter, West Greenwich area. It's right on Route 3. The building itself has been a bunch of different restaurants. They have what's called the Paul Bunyan Burger.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. You say that now. Listen. Now, of course, I get it with onion rings because I have an onion ring fetish, but that's another story. The Paul Bunyan Burger, they said it comes with a grilled cheese bun.
Oh, no.
In correction, it is not a grilled cheese bun. It is 2 grilled cheeses made with Texas toast and about 4 to 5 slices of cheese in each one.
And clear.
In addition to the cheese that they put on top of the burger to hold down the 4 to 5 slices of bacon.
How else?
Of course. And honestly, it's only about $10 for the burger. So it's not horrendous. What it does to me was horrendous because I was definitely paying for that afterwards. But, oh, my God, was it good. I actually ate the first toasted cheese off the top. Then I ate the rest fork and knife style because, you didn't have the top bun to put your fingers on. And again, this is one of those things, I could barely finish it. I'm pushing 400 pounds quite easily, if not over. And this thing was a challenge for me. Again, I washed it down with a couple of beers. I think everything but the burrito that I had at Mesa Grill, I washed down with a beer on this one.
I had the same problem when I went to Casey's Classic Burger Bar. The burger was so big, and I have a pretty big mouth, not just the fact that I'm talking all the time, just size-wise. And I ended up throwing in the towel and actually eating the rest of it with a fork and a knife because the burger was that huge.
Yeah, I can appreciate the size, the ferocity of the burgers, but there comes a line when if you can't put it in your head, how am I going to eat this thing? And you have to, divorce style or break it up or whatever, and that brings a whole new look on what you're eating. So now that I've made myself hungry, along with I'm thinking Tony's salivating on his keyboard right now. Why don't we go to a double shot? Because I've been listening to these guys for a while. I haven't played them in a couple of weeks, but I definitely want to get them out there.
This is definitely one of the great bands that you turned me on to. I became a fan after hearing them here.
They got new stuff coming out as well, so definitely I'll be playing that when I get it. But in the meantime, we're going to listen to some Bending Over Backwards. The name of the song, the first one is Pictures. We'll be back in a minute. You're listening to My Night Out Radio.
true. A punk rock girl, just me and you. Far away, girl, just me and you. Far away, girl, I'll be there soon. We'll sit by your side, we'll live our lives just like we always wanted to do. You're far away, girl. You open the door and I see your face. My mind goes to that special place. You bring me in and you hold my hand, and then we kiss just like we planned. As I sit here writing a song, my love for you keeps growing strong. The time with you, I'll make it last. My punk rock girl will have a blast now. Far away, girl, just me and you. Far away, girl, I'll be there soon. We'll sit by your side, we'll live our lives just like we always wanted to do. You're far away, girl. Far away, girl, just me and you. Far away, girl, I'll be there soon. We'll sit by your side, we'll live our lives just like we always wanted to do. You're far away, girl. You're far away, girl. You're far away, girl. Far away, girl, just me and you. You're far away, girl. Far away, girl, I'll be there soon. You're far away, girl. I'll sit by your side, we'll live our lives. You're far away, girl. Just like we always wanted to do. You're far away, girl.
All right, my night outers. Wow, I cannot talk tonight. That was Bending Over Backwards. The name of the song was Far Away Girl. Before that, we heard Pictures by Bending Over Backwards. Yeah. Now, I keep getting emails, asking for different things. And I will just, answer the email. I won't make it part of the show. But someone came up with a question, and I definitely had to bring it to everyone's attention because it is very current, very seasonal, and right into my comfort zone. Someone asked me about different fish and chip places throughout the state. Of course, I'm always on the motorcycle during the summer, and, I'm a sucker for anything fried. Well, there's quite a few places I actually ran across, and this is just a sampling of some of the places I've been to. The food there is excellent, and I break this down. The restaurants on this list, first off, have to have good fish and chips, because otherwise, why the hell would you go to a fish and chip joint if the fish and chips sucks? Number 2, whole belly clams. You have to have that on the menu. Otherwise, again, you're not going to be in my sweet spot there. The other things, the chowder has to be good. The clam cakes have to be above average. We won't call them good. They have to be above average. And they just have to stand out, whether or not they've been around forever or whatever the case may be. This is actually the list that I've compiled, and this is where I go. You can see me regularly at any one of these places. The first one I wanted to bring up, it's in Warwick. It's, oddly enough, not on the water. It's called Tommy's Clam Shack on Warwick Avenue in Warwick. The food there, again, like I said, it has really good fish and chips. But this place really stands out because the size of the piece of fish, it has to be, well, about 20 inches long.
Damn.
When you get a takeout order of fish and chips, you can feed 2 people easily on that. Not to mention the almost pound of fries that they put in the bottom of this container. And then, of course, the chowder, they actually have lobster bisque, which has good-sized chunks of lobster in it. The clam cakes were excellent. I stumbled upon this one, because I didn't want to wait at the line at Iggy's, to be honest with you. Iggy's also right there in the Warwick area. It was just, I stumbled upon it, and we just keep going back. The other one in Warwick, the 2 others in Warwick that I wanted to bring out, of course, Iggy's. They've been on everything from the TV maitre d' to my T-shirt. Again, good fish and chips, whole belly clams. You cannot complain about them. They do have the different chowders, the different clam cakes. And now one that I know, Tony, you know more about this one than I do, so I'm going to field it to you. The Rocky Point Clam Shack.
So in full disclosure, I do the web and social media for Rocky Point Clam Shack and very good friends with the owners, so I don't want to propose that this is an impartial review. However, if there wasn't money changing hands, I would still go to the Rocky Point Clam Shack. Great fish and chips, chowder and clam cakes, Rocky Point style. Lobster roll is absolutely huge. And just great food all around. Working on the desserts a little bit. They do the doughboys. They do the mini donuts. They have the ice cream. They have the Dell's lemonade. So if you want to kick up your diabetes a little, that's an option. Now, what I like about Rocky Point Clam Shack, taking the reverse side of it, and I don't know if you've ever had this problem. You go to a restaurant and because for whatever they're not changing out the oil, they're not using the right fryolators, whatever, the non-seafood tastes like fish. Yep. It happens a lot in Chinese restaurants. And that's just awful, and it is not the issue with the Rocky Point Clam Shack. Seafood tastes like seafood, and non-seafood tastes what it's supposed to taste like.
Not seafood. Well, I also have been there. There is no money changing hands this way. However, if they want to change that, I am more than willing to accept. Unfortunately, the only money changing hands is every time I have to go there and pay for it. Now, another one, not near the water. It's actually in Cranston, Rhode Island, which has almost non-existent coastline. It's covered with like Port Edgewood Yacht Club, and that's about it. But Stadium Fish and Chips in Cranston. I've been there. The food's very good. It's tucked away. It's not that very big of a place, but the quality of food that comes out of there, it's definitely worth trying to find them and trying to get in, especially on a Friday night. No, if you're not there early, you're going to be waiting. Now, that's up in the Warwick-Cranston area. As you travel south and you stick along the water, you're going to have a whole bunch of other places that pop up. The ones that really pop up for me are the ones down in the Matunic, Sand Hill Cove area. Of course, you have George's. George's has been there for 1,000,000 years, along with Aunt Carrie's. George's has the takeout window right there facing the breakwall where all the boats come in. It's a really nice place to sit and eat. They do have the dining room inside. which is, I want to call it 1970s restaurant decor. It has not been updated, or if it has, it hasn't been updated much. But it's nice. It's clean. The food's decent. I mean, I'm going to tell you the food's decent at all these places because I'm recommending them to you. Aunt Carrie's, however, really stands out with their clam cakes. It is the only one in the list that I know of so far that fries all their seafood in beef fat.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they're going to issue defibrillators as you
I'm
come
sure
in.
somewhere in the Old Testament it says not to do that.
Pork fat. Pork fat says you cannot do it. However, no, you're right. I don't know. I am not.
It just sounds ungodly.
Oh, it is ungodly good. I'll tell you that much. I have done horrible things to those clam cakes. Mostly just shredding them and dropping them in the chowder.
When you were, because I've noticed a little bit of a difference just in the recipe, not in the quality. When you were talking about Iggy's, were you talking about Oakland Beach Iggy's, or were you talking about Narragansett Iggy's?
Well, I'm thankful you made the distinction between the two. The one in Warwick, where I don't feel like venturing that far out. They're really good. And then you have Point Judith Iggy's, which is literally across the street from Aunt Carrie's.
And I got to say, I got to hand it to them, even though I am involved with their direct competition. They have their ordering to a science. I mean, that place just hums along. They have servers that come out and take your order while you're standing in line. And then by the time you get to the window, your order's ready. It's not the transverse of that.
Well, it's production line. I can go into a Lean Six Sigma, discussion on how to close off the bottleneck, but I'm not going to do that because nobody needs to know that much about the getting food out. However, I do have to agree. They do have a good system going. I'm guessing over time you're watching what's going on at the Iggy's up in Warwick, to be specific, because you have the 2 windows. That's it, or 3 windows. And when you make that order and you're going to be standing there for a while, and that line will definitely go down right all the way down to the park, down to the break wall almost sometimes. Iggy's Point Judith does have a much better system going on, and you can't beat it. The food, again, it's excellent. However, there's a little-known Point Judith clam shack, we'll call it. It's called Champlin's. If you go to George's and you're walking to George's, turn around. It's right there. They literally share the parking lot with George's. They are on second floor over a seafood store. You don't get any fresher. Literally, their first floor is the co-op where they sell the fish.
That reminds me of when Red Lobster set up in town, and I said to myself, why would anybody eat Red Lobster, freeze-dried lobster, just add water and stir, when you can literally take a ride a few minutes and grab a lobster out of the water?
Which I'm sure I think that's a rite of passage for anyone in this area, going down to the docks where the boats come in and negotiating a $5 lobster versus a $14 lobster when you get it up the street. But getting back to Champlin's, they have a lobster bisque, which by far, out of all these places I'm talking about, Champlin's has the best lobster bisque. I am a sucker for that stuff. You can actually taste the sherry in it. There are good-sized chunks of lobster meat, and it's thick, like borderline wallpaper paste thick. I like it that way. And if you like yours thick, that's where you want to go. 2 other places that really stand out in the state of Rhode Island. I've been to both of them. Well, not this year yet. Put it that way. Captain Jack's, which is in right over by Snug Harbor, off of Route 1. Their fish and chips, again, huge portions. The clams, the whole belly clams, are excellent there. Their standout item to get, if you go there and don't get it, you're a fool. Number 1 is their snail salad.
Oh.
I knew I'd lose you on that, but I'll get you back on this one. Their apple turnovers.
Oh, yeah, that's more like it.
Those things are absolutely immense. I think you could club a person to death with just the sheer volume and size of their apple turnover. And then, of course, not to shun the other side of the bay, you have Flo's Clam Shack, which actually has 2 locations. One in Portsmouth, the one in Newport. I always go to the one in Portsmouth because I can't stand the people in Newport. But, again, really good food. You're right there on the water. Excellent scene. The only detractor I have for Flo's Clam Shack is price-wise. Flo's is a little, out of all of them, they are the priciest. You still get a good-sized portion, but I don't think the price warrants the portion. I think that's the most negative thing I've ever said about a restaurant.
You know, and I've noticed, too, that fish and chip prices have held steady this season. You know, a lot of places do dock price, and it's kind of a different price from year to year, just depending on how the fishing industry is going. But you can really stuff yourself for close to $10 and just be full for the rest of the day with a proper order of fish and chips.
Well, that will bring me right back to Tommy's Clam Shack. I mean, out of all of them, the sheer volume of food you get for the amount of money you're spending, it is absolutely mind-boggling how these people have not only made it, but they're doing an excellent business. The food's, you know, if someone's going to drop their prices, either the quality of food has to suffer, or the amount that you're going to get has to suffer. Something has to suffer to warrant the lower price. And these people, I don't see any suffering at all. It's definitely well worth the $10, $12, $14, whatever it is for what your order is, and the food is excellent.
We should talk to our friend Jim Nellis about doing a fish and chip throwdown. That would be fantastic.
Definitely. Jim, if you're listening, fish and chips, get me on the committee to pick the restaurants. I will definitely, it'll definitely be worth it. But we're going to have to go to a break here because we are running down on time. We're going to leave here with a song. Actually, I mentioned him earlier, Todd Bowes. He's one of his other bands. It's called Down City Armory. The name of the song, Girls Love Digital. We'll be back in a minute.
It's not so costly, and we want you all to know 21st century extroversion isn't enough to sell your soul. We can't deny it. I wants you to behave. 21st century mass perversion was voted up online today. So tonight we come, 'cause girls love digital. Girls love digital. Girls love digital. Girls love digital. You know we're watching. We're the audience you like. Put a sexy pic on your profile. Show them all how you've gone wild. So tonight we come, 'cause girls love digital. Girls love digital. Girls love digital. Girls love digital. It's okay, it's safe, man, do it anyway. All day, get his name and let those haters hate. Not your fault, there's no law, and we love you all. Keep score, get some more, take total control. They say it's not right for you to act this way online. But if the whole damn world is gonna try to curb girls and ladies shine, your most dangerous lies. So tonight we come, 'cause girls love digital. Girls love digital.
right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Girls Love Digital from Down City Armory. Now, if you want to be part of the show, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, actually, you definitely want to hit me up, mynightoutradio@verizon.net. I'll get you on so you can promote or talk about any upcoming events, promotions. If you have a business you want to promote with us, definitely hit me up. Also, check me out, Facebook.com/mynightOut. Check out the website, mynightoutri.com. Twitter and Instagram is DJ Psycho Eddie or My Night Out RI.
Now, we haven't been on the air since it happened. Did you participate in Free Donut Day?
No, I did not.
I did because, well, I'm fat and also I'm cheap. So I went to about 5 different places for free donuts.
I'm hoping your cardiologist does not listen to the show. But now, another email that I have to address because I've actually gotten some angry emails that I'm not on every single week. And I want to apologize. I do try to make it as many weeks in a row as possible. However, I am a working DJ. I do public appearances. I do sound for a whole bunch of stuff. This is just going to be, if you want to catch me live, if you got a pen and a paper or you're just going to listen to the podcast, you definitely want to listen up on this. Of course, next weekend is Father's Day. I love you guys, but I love my dad more, and I'm going out with him. There probably will be copious amounts of alcohol involved, so you're not going to follow me on that one. However, the following week, I've got a private party on the 25th. The 26th, I will be in Dayton, Massachusetts for a car show at the Dayton Town Hall. The 3rd of July, which is the following weekend, Mr. Jones and myself will be at the Rock and Roll Flea Market.
And we'll have free stuff for you. Now, we wanted to do a live broadcast. However, the Providence Flea Market meets over on South Street on the docks, right where Waterfire is. You can get there through the city. You can get there off of Wickenden Street. However, there's no Wi-Fi for us in the area. So.
Yeah, and as much as I like you, I am not going to open up the Wi-Fi on my phone because
every pervert in Providence will be hitting it up.
It will get lag time and probably an FBI investigation after that. However, I will be on the following weekend because I only have a show on the 9th of July, which is Beachstock, where I will be DJing the outside stage while Edema is playing.
And that'll roll us into the Paranormal Convention at the end of the month.
The following weekend, after that, the 16th and 17th of July, Rhode Island Paranormal Convention. That's up in Burrillville. I'll be posting all these things up on my website and on Facebook so you can find them. You don't have to memorize everything I'm saying right now, unless you want to, in which case, be my guest.
Now, does it drive you crazy when people post on Facebook or on Twitter or on other social media sites that there is nothing to do? Because I'm looking at my schedule and your schedule between now and 2017.
I literally am booked 3 out of 4 weekends a month, and the only reason it's not 4 out of 4 is because I don't want to be divorced. And, of course, after the Paracon...
You can get a lawyer to sponsor your show.
Mr. Abrams from Abrams and Very, if you're listening. However, after the weekend after Paracon is going to be a kind of down weekend for us. The 23rd is the Rhode Island Music Scene Campout. This is probably the first and the only time you're going to hear about this, because if you were not invited... You're not going.
And literally you're not going because nobody knows how to get there.
I will tell you this much. It is in a field, behind a house.
Take a lift at the Brown Spotted Cow.
However, being out in the middle of frickin' nowhere, we have the lead singer from Faith No More, the drummer, Opus, from Dead by Wednesday, and Mark Rizzo from Soulfly, performing an acoustic set at this campout. And of course, we're so far in the woods, I have to bring my own generators to supply the electricity for the sound that I'm going to be doing that night. And, of course, I'll be DJing throughout the night there. So that's just a quick look of my upcoming month or 2 months. If you don't come to one of the live shows and you really want to hear us, you definitely want to check us out on Spreaker. You can search My Night Out Radio on Spreaker, and you can find us, or I'll be posting links up on my website. I can't thank you guys enough for listening. If you have any other questions, comments, definitely mynightoutradio@verizon.net. Hit me up. I'll be more than happy to answer them on the air, or I will just answer you in person. And I think it's time to go. We're going to be leaving here with a performer that I think this was Crimson did the Spectacular, the Vaudeville Spectacular. And this girl performed. She has an amazing voice. The performer herself is Mary Catman. The name of the song, Hearts on Fire. Sorry about the stuttering. My computer is not agreeing with me this week. Hearts on Fire by Mary Catman. Thank you for listening, and good night, everybody.